Hi friends, on this section we are going to check the major differences between web server along with application server. So there is a definitely web server and application server is the major two components for the middleware administrator. So we need to know the difference between web server as well as application server. So the single line difference between these two is a web server exclusively handles HTTP requests, whereas application server serves business logic to application programs through any number of protocols but not single with HTTP. So let's say we have a web server. Let's say for example we have a Apache web server. So a web server handles and it works with HTTP protocol. Like a web server receives HTTP request. So let's say I am the user, I want to hit a website, let's say called some www.google.com. Let's say this is just for basic. So if you go and try to hit google.com or any website, so the request from my end, it is going to travel on HTTP protocol based. Let me show you. uh, yeah so www.google.com, that the thing, whatever we hit on the browser, it will travel with HTTP protocol or HTTPS. HTTP for direct, like it's a just unencrypted mode, and HTTPS for secure mode. I will explain you later the differences. So whatever request we are hit from the browser, so the request is going to travel along with HTTP from client to server side. So this functionality which was maintained by web server. So web server handles HTTP protocol when the web server receives so HTTP request here. So this is the client. So we hit a www.google.com or google.co.in. So the request is immediately using HTTP protocol, it travels to the Google's web server. So it responds with the HTTP response, such as sending back an HTML page. So after you hit it, uh, you will get this Google page, right? So we'll get this Google page as a response. Okay, to process a request, web server may respond with basic static HTML page or image, or send a redirect, or delegate the dynamic response generated with JSP pages or servlets or ASPs. So are some of the server side technologies. So the main purpose of web server is whatever request you are going to hit from the web server. Okay, so that request, it immediately travel into your web server. From your web server, based on your server side program or based on your server side code, it travels between whatever data is going to get from the database, and the data it collects from the database, and it process based on your server side code, and immediately it travels from your server side program or server side application. It respond from the server side to your client side. A client side in the sense here it is a Chrome browser or whatever browser. So the data is traveled from your server program side. Let's say the very basic example, let's say you are hitting google.co.in from the browser side or from the Chrome. So once you hit this request based on HTTP protocol, this request travel to your or Google web server. So from Google web server, it will process based on their their web server. It might be a PHP, or it might be a Python or Ruby on Rails, whatever the server side program, and it respond this request, and it gives the response back from the server to front end side. Or let's say our udemy.com site. So you hit from browser. Okay, so immediately Udemy from we get the response from the Udemy web server, and it respond back whatever you just give a udemy.com, and after that you just let's say click on any of the tab here, just click on development. So immediately this request travel from the HTTP protocol to the web server and responds back. So uh, just give me 1 minute. uh, okay, let's say here we got some responses. Okay, so these all are the different development related courses we got from the Udemy web server, let's say. So what it happens here, so you just requested development related courses. So Udemy web server responded back with these many number of courses it have. So Udemy web server contains some server coding. So it may be a PHP, or it may be a Ruby on Rails, or whatever server side code. So Udemy's related server code responded back with whatever request you are sending from the web browser. So it collects from the database, or based on their flat files, or based on their request, it responded back. Okay, and this is the very basic example. Okay, so this is a very basic example for web server. You don't think like this might be the exact one, but yeah, this is the perfect example for web server. And we'll discuss what is application server and how it responds in the next video.